Just reported some details on the upcoming budget, specifically that the public option to create a government-run health insurance program and a pledge to cut prescription drug costs are not going to be in that budget proposal. Anything you comment on that?
Well, we'll be announcing and rolling out the president's proposed budget a week from today. Buckle up. I know it's a big day for Reuters those days. And I'm not going to get too far ahead of that. But what I will tell you is that what it will outline is.
And thank you so much for tuning in to News Now from Fox. That was Press Secretary Jen Psaki taking reporter questions, kind of going back and forth with Fox News White House correspondent Peter Doocy. As mentioned, though, before, we want to take you out to an event going on in Mesa, Arizona. Right now, we're hearing from several conservatives talking about that Arizona audit. You're going to hear from Representative Matt Gaetz, who is under investigation right now for sex trafficking charges. You're also going to hear from Marjorie Greene as well. Should be an interesting press conference. We will definitely be breaking down some of the remarks that happen here on News Now from Fox, but we'll take it live again, Mesa, Arizona.
I would watch you counting every single day. At least every waking moment of the day. It gets like 9 to 5. There was fraud in this election. All the pieces that you look at. Let's go back to who's all watched the HBO movie Kill Chain. Right? Well, there's a lot of people that haven't. So you got my first homework assignment. Go to HBO and pull up Kill Chain. And I'm going to prepare you a little bit. You're going to want some time, because you're not going to watch it once. You're not going to watch it twice. You're going to watch it 3 and 4 times. What it's all about is that Democrats actually make this video. And they pretend to make it about 2016 and Donald Trump and Russia. But what it shows you is all the problems with Dominion software. Big time. Okay? And this is from the eyes of a Democrat. So when they say, hey, listen, Ghostwriter, you're telling all these things, no, they did. They did. And then you go back in time in 2019 where the U.S. Senate Subcommittee on Election Security and Homeland Security basically looked at these machines and said they're 100% corrupt. Not 99 or 98 or 95, 100%. Why is it that one of these machines was decertified 3 times in Texas? Why was it in North Carolina when they did their request for proposal? They passed the first line. The second line asked them who were their foreign donors and who were their donors. They withdrew their RFP. Who would have found out that foreign countries own this company? China. Oh, and as of October of last year, China owns Dominion outright. So we also want to make sure that we have something made in the USA. I think it's really fitting that we're the tip of the spear uncovering this debacle in elections. You know, when we were first wanting to be a state, we were turned away the first time. And the reason being is that we wanted to recall federal judges. How far ahead we were of our time. So my question to you, watch Kill Chain. Go on the offense. When somebody says, listen, there wasn't fraud, give it to them. Have those facts. 3% equals 90,000 in Maricopa County. 17% out of 2,500 is 17% is 400,000. And people that were coming to me from the Securities Exchange fraud departments and from the military fraud estimated between 400 and 700,000 ballots were altered in the state of Arizona. But you know the thing about it is, we want the truth. The problem for them is they can't take the truth. So let's make it our number one mission. Let's get this audit cleaned up, done up, put it with a bow, and let's present it to the United States of America for everybody to see. Thank you, folks. Thank you for coming out tonight. Keep the faith in the core. Step forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Congressman Andy Davis.
Welcome to Mesa, Arizona. Home of the free and the brave. I gotta tell you something. You are a beautiful sight. What a bunch of American patriots we have here tonight. Who would have thought that within 100 days, Joe Biden what a lot of love for Joe. Who would have thought within 100 days, Joe Biden could make Jimmy Carter look enthusiastic, energetic, and bright? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Hey, you know what? Here's what you got. Here's what you have. You have, first thing Joe Biden does, he goes after abortion to make it stronger so you get more abortions. The most pro-life president in my lifetime, Donald Trump. How about this? How about this? How about this? One of the first things he does is he kills the Keystone Pipeline. He makes us energy dependent. For the first time in a generation, Donald Trump had made us energy independent. Joe Biden gave us gas lines on the East Coast. That's what Joe Biden gave you. How about this? How about this? When you saw, remember the Democrats when they had their little debate? How many of you support sanctuary cities? All of us. How many of you support open borders? All of us. Donald Trump gave us operational control over the borders. Joe Biden has allowed more people to enter this country illegally in the last 2 months than live in the city of Mesa. That's Joe Biden for you. You know what we are? You know what we have on our side, ladies and gentlemen? We've got God. How about this? When President Trump was in power, he brought stability and peace to the Middle East. He gave us the Abraham Accords. He brought us normalized relations between Israel and Arab states. They said that couldn't be done. You know what Joe Biden gave us? A shooting war in the Mideast. Joe Biden is basically unfrozen the accounts that go to Iran. He's already delivered $6 billion to Iran, and when they're finished, he's going to give $90 billion back to Iran. He gave $235 million a month ago, a little over a month ago, to the Palestinian Authority. Do you know who supplies the missiles to Hamas? Iran does. That's what Joe Biden has given you. He's destabilized the Middle East. So the question is, why won't the media report it? Because they love Joe Biden. They're the propaganda arm for the left. That's what the media is. So let me just tell you, we won't stand still for it because we have on our side God, the Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution of the United States of America. Joe Biden has given us the 1619 Project of Critical Race Theory. This country is the freest, greatest country in the history of the world. It's because the founders understood that you rely on God and the people of the United States of America. That's why we will not give up. And I always have to say this, we will rhetorically fight to protect the freedoms of this country. If this country is as bad as the left thinks it is, then why do 178,000 people try to enter illegally? It's because this country is the beacon of freedom, hope for the entire world. I have to tell you that Paul Gosar is a great fighter in the United States Congress. He's a great friend. I have to tell you that fighting for you in the United States Congress is the House Freedom Caucus. And we will continue to fight. While some may say that we should not fight the Democrats who are advancing their wildly crazy, radical left agenda with alacrity, I say we should use every procedural tool we have to slow them down. So we simply have in the Freedom Caucus a group of people that go down on the floor and we enforce the rules of procedure that we can to slow them down. And that team is called you figure out the acronym here, the Floor Action Response Team. We really try to blow things up, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I gotta tell you,
of my great friends, have shown up here tonight. They fight with me day in, day out for the freedoms of this country, to slow down the onslaught that's coming from the radical left, from the neo-fascists that are the left today. They are my good friends, and I am so pleased to tell them, when they called me and said, hey, do you think we should do a little event in Mesa? I said, are you kidding? Yeah. Come on out here to Arizona. And I said, you better, it's only going to be 100 degrees. You better come now, because in a month or two, it's going to be 115. I know you're going to love hearing from my two good friends, Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia. Marjorie is very shy. You never know what's on her mind. I'm just telling you. That's just the way Marjorie is. Just quiet, demure. Doesn't have an opinion about anything. And then probably the first person I met in the United States Congress. I'll just tell you a funny story about this. Is Matt Gaetz and I. We show up for orientation. And they put us in these cabs to take us to dinner somewhere. We don't know where we're going. Matt hops into the front seat with the Uber driver, and I hop into the back seat. And he's telling her where we're going, because Matt also talks a little bit. And he's telling her where we're going, and I just sitting there quiet, because I don't have anything to say either, So I'm just sitting there quietly. And she's saying, oh, you go to that restaurant, that's very, very expensive. That's very expensive. And she says, she points to me and says, you ought to have the guy in the back pay for it. He looks like money. So speaking of which, before I bring out my good friends, I got to tell you, my wife, Cindy, is here with me. Cindy, my beautiful wife, patient wife. Our 40th wedding anniversary was last Saturday. So Matt will tell you this. Matt thinks I'm the cheapest guy around, but I took my wife to a very expensive restaurant. We took her out to someplace. I said, honey, I want to go someplace that is very expensive for our anniversary. So I picked up a couple burgers at Burger King. And we went to a lumber yard and ate out there. It's almost so expensive today. It was an expensive place to go for dinner, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you what, I'm going to close out by saying, God has blessed this country. We have been blessed with freedom. We have been blessed with economic prosperity. We've been blessed to be able to have people of all nations who've come to this country to be part of the great American dream. We will not let that dream die on our watch. God bless all of you. And God bless this great country. May it endure forever in strength and in peace. Thank you very much. God bless you.
thanks for joining us here on News Now from Fox. It's 7 o'clock on the dot here in Phoenix, Arizona, but you are taking a live look at Mesa, Arizona for the America First rally. We are expecting to hear from Representative Matt Gaetz in just a little bit, but you've heard from other representatives in Arizona talking about that election audit that is going on right now in Arizona, which has been met with quite a bit of opposition from the election board out here and from many officials, even Republican officials, saying that there's no need to be moving forth with this audit. We've been following that story quite a bit here on News Now from Fox 10 in Phoenix has really been keeping their eyes on that. Also hearing a little bit about President Biden and his dealings with other crises that have been going on here, the COVID-19 pandemic. It does look like we are going to hear from Representative Marjorie Greene, so we'll listen in to that. Again, live, raw, and unfiltered here on News Now from Fox.
So we're starting these America First rallies and we're going to take them across the country. We are coming out strong and we are coming out very loud and very proud.
Today, we send a strong message to the weak establishment in both parties. America First isn't going away. We're going on tour here in Florida and across this great country. We love America so much, and we will not wave the flag of surrender in the face of the Democrats, the socialists, the deep state, or the establishment. America is too precious. We love her too much, and we will never stop fighting for her. I do not diminish the challenge is ahead. But in America, patriotism always shines through when we demonstrate toughness and grit. This is not a movement for the timid or the tired. This is a movement about winning. Winning so much we get tired of it. After all, isn't that what we were promised? God bless you. Thank you. Thanks for having my back. Thanks for fighting with us. Let's go get them. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Congresswoman Marjorie Greene.
Hey, you know, when I was coming in here, I saw some Antifa Black Lives Matter little kids out there. You know, the ones that grew up getting participation trophies. That's why they're so confused, right? That and they're kind of a little bit brainwashed by all the mask holes. So let me just check and make sure with all of you, who do you think won Arizona on November 3rd? You know, that's how we feel in Georgia, too. As a matter of fact, that's how Michigan feels. Pennsylvania. Wisconsin. I think that's how at least 74+ million people feel. As a matter of fact, no one went out for Biden. Did you see rallies like Trump had in 2020? Biden was too busy in the basement, right? They still keep him in the basement in the White House. All right, let's talk about Congress. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about Congress. for Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I call her Speaker Mask Hole. She doesn't seem to like to believe and listen to the science. No. Yeah. So this week, I'm going to give you guys all the stories. We're going to have a little bit of fun here. Every week is different. Oh, I don't know. I don't need to wear one. You want to know why? I trust the science. And I'm not brainwashed by everyone that is addicted to the cult called the woke COVID religion. And it is a cult, believe me. You know, there's a lot of people in the cult, other than Speaker Maskhole, Governor Cuomo, Governor Newsom. You guys don't like him, do you? What about Governor Whitmer from Michigan? Yeah, so they have a little prayer, they say. I'm going to read it to you. This is a pretty good one. If you're in the woke COVID religion, you know, they have pillows with Fauci's face on there, t-shirts. I don't even know. It's kind of crazy. They start out and they say, "Hail, Dr. Fauci, full of mask. The COVID vaccine is with you. Blessed are you among all federal employees, and blessed is your paycheck, because it's the highest in the federal government. Oh, Dr. Fauci, full of mask, pay the Wuhan clinic some more money and send us more viruses so that we may control America, completely take over, and turn America into a socialist nation." What's wrong with these people? Do you think America was ever meant to be a socialist country? Well, I know I'm in the right place. You know, Arizona, you're a lot like Georgia in my district. I think we can get along. You know, I was thinking about Jeff Foxworthy, and I was thinking about some jokes. And I was like, you know you're a Democrat if your name is Liz Cheney. You know you might be a Democrat if your name is Adam Kinzinger. You know you might be a Democrat and have a serious problem in your primary election if you're one of the 10 Republicans that voted to impeach President Trump. And you know you might be a Democrat if you're one of the 11 Republicans that voted to kick Marjorie Taylor Greene off her committee. And for any Republican, you know you might be a Democrat if you feel good when you're on CNN and they say good things about you. You know you might be a Democrat if the Lincoln Project is supporting your campaign. I could go on and on. It's too much fun. Okay, so I had a great week this week. Let me tell you how it ended. I had 3 letters on my desk. All right? Yeah, 3 and 1 warning that I got. I took a selfie on the House chamber floor, right there in the well. And, you know, you're not supposed to take selfies in there. God, I wish I could. I could show you guys so many pictures. Jerry Nadler's constantly sleeping. Well, I had to take a selfie with some of my colleagues because we were breaking the cardinal sin for the woke COVID religion, and Speaker Maskhole didn't like it very much. You see, we took our mask off. with the Sergeant of Arms, and they send me a letter, you know, from the House Ethics, and it says, you have broken the rules. The very serious rules that they don't have in the White House and they don't have in the Senate, but oh yeah, you better bet we have it in the People's House. Marjorie Taylor Greene, you are going to have to pay a fine of $500. You know, I have not been a government employee very long. It's only been a little over 4 months. And here's the deal, everybody. In the private workplace, discrimination is a big problem. And private employers get in big trouble for discriminating on their employees, but you see, Speaker Masshole doesn't understand that. Yeah, that's right. What job has she done? I don't know. I think I'll be 47 this month. I think she's been there practically as long as I've been alive. It's pathetic. So I got another letter because I said, you know what I think of this letter? I put a paper shredder on my desk. And I put it right through the paper shredder. Then when I went back to vote, you know, to do my job like we're all supposed to do, us members in Congress, we're supposed to vote. I didn't wear my mask again. And I got in trouble again. Aww. You know, when I was growing up, I didn't get any participation trophies. So I got another letter, and the second fine is $2,500. Yeah, that's more than my mortgage. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I need to start a mask fine collection, right? These people are pathetic. So that was my second letter. And I told you I had 3, right? Well, I got a letter from a certain congressman, Representative Cicilline, a man I've never met. I couldn't even tell you what he looks like. I call him Representative Mussolini. And he was tattletelling on me because I was talking to a certain Democrat congresswoman, and I was saying that she needed to debate me about her Green New Deal. Well, let me tell you something about AOC. She's written a little, but I don't think she wrote it really. She wrote basically like some homework, 14 pages worth of socialism garbage that she learned from some professor in college that's never done anything in the real world, but has a whole bunch of theories about how America should operate. It's called the Green New Deal, and I said, you know, honey, I've owned a business for over 2 decades. I've worked really hard. I know what it's like to sign people's paychecks. I know what it's like to produce goods and services. I know what it's like to get through hard times and really worry about how to keep the lights on. I know what it's like to create jobs because I've done it. I know what building the economy is about. And I said, you need to debate me in front of the American people because they deserve to hear you defend your socialist legislation. Well, she talks like a 14-year-old. She says, like, whatever. Actually, she agreed the first time, and she said, well, we do it in here in the chamber, and we do it on C-SPAN. I said, great, I'll set it up. But the second time, you see, she had a week to think about it and she got a little bit scared. So she told me, no. So that's when I followed her out the door and I said, no, you need to debate me because it's your job. It's your job as a member of Congress to debate policy with other members of Congress. And you owe it to the American people. And then I also reminded her that United States members of Congress do not support terrorists, Hamas, and terrorist Antifa, BLM, domestic terrorists right here at home. And I told her that, you know what? You shouldn't be a member of Congress if you're going to support terrorists abroad and at home. But that's when members of the press decided to stick up for little AOC. That's an issue, right? So they tattle-told on me, and then I've got Representative Mussolini telling on me, sending letters to the House Ethics about I've been picking on AOC. Well, I will continue to tell her she needs to debate me. And I can't imagine what it's like to donate and vote for a member of Congress that's too chicken to debate their policy with another member of Congress. That's pretty pathetic, right? I think so. You see, let me talk to you about Congress. We have people like Maxine Waters who goes out to Minnesota. And she tells people to get more confrontational. Well, let me ask you, what's more confrontational than burning cities, looting businesses, attacking police officers, taking over federal courthouses, tearing down monuments, and fighting in the streets? What's more confrontational than that? Yeah, that. So I introduced a resolution to expel Maxine Waters. You guys agree with me? Well, you know, if you agree with me on this, then you might agree with me on something else. There's a certain guy, Grandpa Joe Biden, that's currently occupying the White House. And you see he's got a son named Hunter. And Hunter seems to have a certain affinity for doing business with foreign countries' energy companies, like in Ukraine and in China. And do you remember back when Joe Biden was vice president, along with President Barack Hussein Obama? Well, and he was willing to withhold money just so he could get a certain prosecutor to stop picking on his son Hunter, right? That's an abuse of power, isn't it? Well, we know President Joe Biden is not trustworthy, is he? He can be bought because of Hunter. And so I introduced articles of impeachment on Joe Biden. See? This is how the American people feel, everybody. This is how the American people feel. Right. But let me tell you about the little swamp creatures up in the DC bubble up there. Yeah, it needs to be drained. They don't get it. They are so disconnected from all of you. They don't understand these things. And it's a big problem. You want to know why I decided to run for Congress? Because believe me, I have no desire to be there, but I got really, really angry. It was the first 2 years under our great and wonderful President Donald J. Trump. He's the best, isn't he? He's the greatest. I was so fired up about the Republican-controlled House, the Republican-controlled Senate, and Donald Trump in the White House, and I thought, you know, they're really going to do something. They're going to fund the wall. Well, I know you people in Arizona are like, they should have funded the wall, right? And they should have built it a long time ago. But they didn't. And then I thought, you know what, they're going to repeal Obamacare that is crushing our families' insurance bills. But they didn't repeal Obamacare. And then I thought, yeah, McCain. How do you guys feel about Megan? You might be a Democrat if your name's Megan McCain. Well, you know, the first 2 years under President Trump, I thought for sure they're going to defund sanctuary cities. I mean, how do you harbor illegal aliens in an American city and protect them and keep ICE from arresting them and throwing them out? But they didn't do that, no. California, exactly. That's Speaker Maskell. She's all about sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. Well, and then I thought, you know, all Republicans talk about how pro-life they are. And I thought for sure, they will defund Planned Parenthood. But they didn't. And that's when I realized something, because I thought, you know, just because you have an R by your name and you say all these things does not mean that you do them when you're leading the country. And this is why so many people don't vote. They don't trust Republicans to do the job. And this is why we need Republicans in Congress, just like you got two good ones you heard from tonight, right? Those are some of my great colleagues in the House Freedom Caucus, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. You see, we need our Republican conference in Congress to do what they say they're going to do. And then there's something else we have to do. We have to follow President Trump's lead for America First policies. We have to actually fund the border wall and finish building it. We have to secure the border. Right? We need to stop sending everyone's hard-earned tax dollars to foreign countries. I can tell you right now what I would say. I'd call up Guatemala and go, hey, you need to tell your people to stay home, or that check is not going to show up. And I would say the same thing to every other country that's just sending them on in. No check for you. We should not only defund Planned Parenthood, but we should end abortion altogether. What kind of country convinces women and sells them a lie and tells these women the greatest way you can achieve, the greatest way that you can get that job, keep that boyfriend, the greatest way that you can become everything you've dreamed of is to kill that baby in your womb? That's the worst lie ever told to women. Over 62 million people. America, we need to end abortion. Arizona's a constitutional carry state, right? God bless you in Arizona. gun rights. And here's for Moms Demand Action. You chicks gotta figure this one out. Gun rights are women's rights and mothers' rights. These bunch of damn fools that want to give up the guns and just hand them over to the government, and then what are they gonna do when someone is attacking them, breaking in their home, hurting them, hurting their children? Oh, we're gonna call police, but we voted for Democrats that defund them. They are complete idiots. Let me tell you what I think about our gun rights. I am so thankful for our right to bear arms. I am so thankful as a woman, as a business owner, as a mother, because if anyone were to break in my house, and anyone were to come in and try to hurt me or my children, there is no amount of bullets that I will not shoot at them. Right, ladies? Yep, see the women standing up. That's right. So somebody get that message to Moms Demand Action. You guys are awesome. I absolutely love it. All right, you guys are doing something, and the reason why we're here is we are so impressed by you all. Now, take it from me, I'm from Georgia, and guess what? We don't feel so good about our election in Georgia either. And Matt Gaetz and I, you know, the media doesn't like us very much. I don't know if you guys know that. You may have seen some stories and heard some tales. And for that, we could care less. As we know how the game works. It's the same playbook we saw in President Trump for 4 years. Smear, 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 smear. You know why people quit watching the news? They hate it. They hate it. It sucks, right? CNN sucks. You know they lost half their ratings from 2016 to now? Oh, the Communist News Network. They have they may be card-carrying CCP members, I don't know. It's an issue. It's an issue. So back to Matt and I. You know, we're big fans of somebody you all like, President Trump. And we like Steve Bannon too. And we're also a big believer in America First policies. Because America First policies is the only way to stop silly little pieces of legislation like the Green New Deal. And so we started doing this. We said, let's take America First on tour. You want to know why? Because we want to be with all of you. And we know that it's all of you that are the hardworking people that put everything into it. You believe in this country. You believe in the flag. Many of you have served our country. And God bless you if you're a veteran. We want to go everywhere, believe me. Oh, and let me let you know something. If you text RALLY to 89477 and let us know where you are, we'd like to bring our rally to your town. That's for you people at home. Text 89477 so we can bring an America First rally to you. Los Angeles. So Matt And we were also talking about audits, because we care about election integrity. Matt said, hey, you been following that Arizona audit? I'm like, yeah, I've been following it. He said, let's go to Arizona. I said, oh yeah, count me in. So we drummed up this trip, and here's what you need to know. And there's a lot of people working on the audit. This is the deal. You see, they're trying to stop you. They do not want you to do this audit. The Democrats are trying to stop you. The Department of Justice is trying to stop you. The Department of Justice has no business in state rights. Not when you're Senate. Not when you're Senate did this. Here's what we need to remind them.
It's our country.
That's right. That's right, it's our country. And you're the taxpayers. So I gave a little speech on the House floor this weekend, and part of my speech was explaining to Congress how Congress doesn't create revenue. They don't provide a good or service. They take it through taxes from you all, right? Congress is kind of big on themselves, you know? And so the Arizona taxpayer pays for the elections. You pay for the ballots. You pay for the machines. You pay everybody's salaries. That means you're the customers, right? So if you want to audit your election and you want to take a look at what you paid for, no one should have the right to stop you. That's just common sense. There's not a lot of common sense in Washington, though. It's pretty pitiful. They're in the woke COVID religion. Crazy. So here's what you need to know. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. Do not grow weary. Here's another thing. Encourage your state senators. They need courage. And they get courage from all of you. Support them. They're receiving the nastiest letters. They're getting letters from attorneys. They're getting all kinds of pressure from the media. They're getting pressure from the Department of Justice. They need your support to be able to continue this. Do not let them fail. Do you understand? Do not let them fail. Hold them accountable. You hired them. And get this audit done, Arizona. Well, we had some good news in Georgia. Good news in Georgia today. We had a judge rule on a certain case that's going to allow us to do a little bit of auditing. Because just like Arizona, the Georgia taxpayers paid for the ballots and the machines and the elections and the salaries. And Georgia taxpayers and voters want an audit too. Here's what you need to know. Now we're just over 4 months into, what do we call it? We call it AC. AC, after COVID, which is crazy land. We're into this Biden presidency. We are seeing businesses have to compete with the federal government, which that should never happen, to hire people, because the federal government is paying them to stay home. We're seeing inflation, gas lines. We're seeing hackers win, right? That should never happen. We're seeing the Middle East be destabilized. We're seeing our border just flooding every single day. I don't know why AOC isn't down there crying about these children in Biden cages. But let me tell you what's happening. President Trump is not giving up. and you'll see him, he's coming back. And I'm going to tell you what we're doing. I gotta tell you, I love him too. He's great. Greatest president of my lifetime. So, here's what we're doing in Congress while we're under tyrannical speaker mask hole. Oh, we're not giving up. We are fighting harder. You wanna know why? If we can't fight in there in the people's house under speaker mask hole, then how are kids ever going to be able to say to their teacher that they don't want to wear a mask when they should never wear one in the first place? Most shameful thing I've ever seen. Here's another thing. You should never be able to not refuse a vaccine. It's your body. The vaccine is a choice. It's a choice. If people want to take it, let them have it. If they don't want to take it, let them refuse it. But you're not a second-class citizen or to be treated like some lower class simply because you refuse a mask or refuse a vaccine. And guess what? It's none of their damn business anyway. So I'll keep fighting these masks on the House floor. I am not wearing them, and I'll tell you why. And I'm doing it for all the kids and the athletes that are being forced to wear them under these communist teacher unions. Every single one of them can kiss my... Enough of this. It's ridiculous. Now remember, they pray to hail Dr. Fauci. Remember all that? On and on and on. On and on and on. You guys feel the same as I do. This is fantastic. I feel like I'm at home in Georgia. All right, I got one more thing to say about the squad. They have a new name. They have a new name. Jihad Squad. That's right. I want to ask you guys, what's wrong with these ladies?
Send them to Palestine!
Do they not appreciate being an American woman? Isn't being an American woman the greatest thing in the world? I mean, here the Jihad Squad is supporting Hamas over there. They're supporting Hamas. That doesn't make any sense, does it? No, Israel is our ally. Israel has the right to defend itself. We will stand with Israel. No, but you know what the Jihad Squad is doing? They're out there cheering on the Antifa BLM domestic terrorists. And they're out there encouraging people that are attacking Jewish Americans in our American cities. You want to talk about hate crimes? That's a hate crime. These women are a disgrace. They're an embarrassment to the United States Congress. They are terrorists. They are. They're supporting terrorists abroad and supporting terrorists at home. I want you to never forget something. Ilhan Omar shared the Minnesota Freedom Fund bail bond link as a member of Congress, encouraging people to donate to bail out criminals. So did then Senator Kamala Harris and Vice Presidential candidate. She shared it too. I think those are grounds for being expelled. What do you think? You shouldn't do that. Can you imagine if one of us Republicans did that? What if we had shared a bail bond link for January 6th riot? Oh my gosh. What would they say about me? It'd be something else. So this week, I'm going to end on this, you guys. We voted against the January 6th commission. I don't know. Here, I just don't get it. Congress is so absorbed in itself. You know, the American people endured violence all year long. In our cities, violence everywhere, and they get one riot at the Capitol, and they all panic, and that's all they want to talk about is the January 6th commission. Let me tell you, none of us agree with the violence on January 6th. No one's arguing that. There's already investigations underway. 445 people have been arrested. 100 more are going to be arrested, but people are being held 23 hours in solitary confinement, and they haven't seen a court date yet. This is abuse, but they want to continue on with it. You want to know why? Here's why. They need Witch Hunt 2.0. They want Witch Hunt 2.0 so the media can talk about it, talk about it, talk about it until everybody wants to vomit about this, right? So they can cover up exactly the horrible things that Joe Biden is doing to this country. That's why they want Witch Hunt 2.0. And I don't know how any Republican voted along with that. But I will tell you, we voted no. Now there are questions that need to be answered from that day. Who killed Ashley Babbitt? Her family deserves justice. There's more questions that need to be answered. There was intel ahead of time that there was going to be violence on January 6th. President Trump requested 10,000 National Guard to be at the Capitol on January 6th. The question that needs to be answered is who turned that request down? That's where the accountability lies. Because if they had listened to President Trump and provided the 10,000 National Guard troops around the Capitol, well, we wouldn't be having this conversation about January 6th. They would never be able to accuse us of non-stop insurrection. So I lovingly call the People's House the House of Hypocrites. All right, you guys, I'm gonna walk off the stage, and then, no, and let me tell you something. Here's a little tip I'm gonna tell you. Matt Gaetz is coming out. And then when he's done, don't leave, okay? Stick around, because we're gonna have some fun after that too. All right, Arizona, I love you guys. You are fantastic. God bless you. God bless you. Keep up the fight. The state of America is not socialism.
All right, and this is Andrew Kraft here. We've been watching for well over an hour now. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene up there on stage talking to the crowd there. We're being told there's about 350 people in the crowd from one of our reporters who's actually there shooting this event for us, and we appreciate that. We are going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will air live to you the remarks from Congressman Matt Gaetz from Florida. So we'll be back in 2 minutes here on News Now from Fox.
affected our well-being, our mental health. Maybe they thought that a stolen election would drain your hope. Maybe they thought lockdowns and government checks would march this country to socialism. Well, I can think of no better place than Arizona to pledge that America will never be a socialist country. Not on our watch. Since an inspirational president, Ronald Reagan, told us that it was morning in America again. Too often now, it seems like the twilight for Joe Biden. I mean, if it was morning in America again under Reagan, it sort of seems like nap time in America with Joe Biden as the president. And I think it's about time to wake up our fellow countrymen, to ignite a new generation liberty away in the United States of America. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to trade mask mandates for vaccine mandates. And so in the coming days, I will introduce legislation in the Congress to ban vaccine passports everywhere. These big businesses, they want to take money from American taxpayers to stay afloat, and then they want to turn around and judge the Americans that they took that money from for their personal health care choices. Well, you know what? We still believe in individual liberty in this country, and no government or no business working with the government should be able to deprive us of the individual agency to make our own choices about our safety, our health care, our medical decisions, and the lives we will lead. I say ditch the lockdown, vaccine passport, mandate. Politicians never ditch the American way of life. We got some business to discuss. We are here in Arizona to stand in solidarity with the Arizona election audit. We want to thank sergeants in Arizona like Andy Biggs and Paul Gosar and Dr. Kelly Ward and so many who are holding everyone's feet to the fire. You have an outstanding Senate President in Karen Van, and we have her back too. See, the America Last media, they just think, oh, these are a bunch of resentful people. They can't take the truth. They're just in a state of denial. Well, you know what? We are working to make elections better, not just to right the wrongs of the past, but to ensure that we have a better future, that we have elections we can count on, that we have reports we can trust, that we have voter identification so that we know that if a ballot is cast, that that's what you If the Queen of England knows that voter ID is not racist, maybe the America Last media would realize that voter IDs are not racist. Florida, I'm a Florida man. We have a thing there. We have this thing there called humidity. I would not recommend it. But what I can tell you is that we believe and we know that election integrity is not some like amorphous, unattainable goal. We can do it. I mean, back in the 2000 election, we had the hanging chads and the dangling punch cards. I think that in like 2004, they cut open an alligator and found votes for Al Gore. I'm convinced that happened in the Florida swamps. But you know what we did? Governor Ron DeSantis fired the elections officials. We had real requirements for voter ID. We did not indiscriminately just mail out ballots to people that did not request them. And as a result, we have cleaned up our act in Florida, and it is my belief that Arizona will be the launch pad for elections audits and elections integrity efforts all over this great country. Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada. And one group that I don't mind standing up to, one group that I don't mind having a little oversight over, is the Biden Justice Department. Or are they the Biden Injustice Department? The Biden Justice Department has sent a threat to your senators that if they continue to pursue investigation and evidence and subpoenas and documents and servers and passwords that you could be violating people's civil rights. And then I thought, well, who in the hell is doing this in the Biden Justice Department? And it is actually a woman named Dr. Pamela Karlan, who was one of the partisan impeachment witnesses. Do you remember that mean lady who made fun of Donald Trump's son's name? She said, oh, well, he can name his son Barron, but he can't be a Barron. You know what she said about all of us? She said that conservatives are apparently just so distasteful that we can't even stand to live around each other. That's why we disperse around the country. We don't live the great metropolitan, cosmopolitan lives that the enlightened people live. Dr. Pamela Karlan should not even have a job at the Justice Department. She should not be threatening the people of Arizona who deserve answers about the 2020 election. And if we get our elections right, if we ensure that the people who are taking the oath of office are actually who the people elected, then our elections will have more integrity, and I hope that the resulting policy will be that our borders will have more integrity. You in Arizona, you are on the front lines of this battle. You pay the heaviest price. Some of your fellow citizens have paid the ultimate price. President Trump is right. They aren't sending their best, but they're taking some of our best, and that is what has to stop. And you have to wonder, why is this happening? This is not an unsolvable problem. You think that people can't control who gets in or who gets out? Go to a casino sometime. We can do this, right? It's about having the will to do it, and the courage, and the determination to get the job done. On the political left, it's all about power. They think that if they can have a flood of illegal immigration into our country, that will help them keep and expand their political power. And the reason that's the case is that in so many of America's inner cities, like LA, Chicago, Detroit, and New York, the people there have trusted Democrats for the longest period of time, and they've let them down. And so now, instead of actually stepping up to serve the people that you screwed over, they're having to have a political refill. They're having to import new people that they hope that they are able to dupe again. Oh, and then they get them here, and then there's no real ID to make sure that illegal aliens are not voting in our elections. And that's improper. But it's not just the political left. There is a corrupt coalition on the right where too many Republicans are willing to be the shill of big business. So we have to stand up to members in both parties who do not believe in the integrity and security of our border. Both parties. You know, right now, you know what we're going through? Right now, America is suffering through a taxpayer-subsidized invasion of our country. And you know what? They don't like me saying that. They don't think it's politically incorrect, but sometimes the truth is politically incorrect. I don't blame the desperate people that come across our border for free healthcare, free education, free childcare, free transportation, free cell phones. I blame the America Last politicians who are drawing people across our borders illegally with free stuff that you pay for. Former President George W. outside. We build walls because we love the people on the inside. See, I believe that America is such a special place. This is such a unique moment in all of human history that we get to live in the United States of America. And those people who believe that we could just fundamentally change that with unchecked illegal immigration have too low of a view of our country. And if you cannot just like recreate America by this massive influx of illegal immigration, I also believe you cannot export America to some distant land at the edge of a sword. You know, I don't believe that America's best effort is trying to go and build a democracy out of sand and blood and Arab militias in the Middle East. When people sign up to wear the uniform, I think they do that to protect our country, not to protect Niger or Mali or the Central African Republic. And pardon me if I would prefer to rebuild America before we rebuild Kandahar. But the biggest threat right now to our military is actually not an endless string of deployments to faraway lands for unknowable gain. Right now, our military is being targeted by the Biden Department of Defense. Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Lohmeyer is an American patriot who should have been promoted, not relieved of his command. And the thing about Lohmeyer, he was punished for telling the truth. He brought forward scholarship about Marxism and the danger that it does, a message that many of our young people need to hear today. And he was right that critical race theory has no place in our military, no place in our schools, no place in the greatest country that has ever existed in all of human history. Any program that teaches us to hate our fellow Americans because of their identity should be defunded, abolished, and never allowed again. And then you look at why this is happening to our military. There's a guy named Bishop Garrison who tweeted out that we have to reject civility as a norm. Now, I have passionate beliefs. You see I fight for them with great vigor, but I always believe we should be kind to our fellow Americans and civil. I don't want anything bad to happen to any of my fellow Americans. I want us to all be successful. We are on the same team. There's like 1 billion Chinese, and if we are going to beat them, we need everybody doing something, contributing, helping out. Bishop Garrison said we have to reject civility. He also said there's no room for any nuance in evaluating Trump supporters. Everyone is an insufferable, irredeemable racist and threat to national security. I regret to inform you that Bishop Garrison is currently a senior advisor to the United States Secretary of Defense, designing the policies on what might constitute extremism. They want to label anyone who's MAGA or America First some sort of threat to our nation. The threat to our nation is the Marxism and critical race theory that they embrace, not the love of country that we embrace. And so if you believe that America is a wonderful place, not a racist country, if you believe that MAGA is patriotic, not deplorable, if you stand for the flag and kneel in prayer, if you want to build America up, not burn her to the ground, then welcome, my fellow patriots. This is the movement for you. You are in the right place. Washington. You know, we don't have the fancy offices and the big staffs and the big titles, but you know what? We have a power that they can never take away because we fight for you. We battle against your dislikes. We advance your interests. We call out the corruption and the unfairness and the extent to which there is a uniparty in Washington, D.C. that works for Washington, not the rest of you. But if we do this right, if we marshal together the patriots, it's absolutely my expectation that the best days for our country are yet to come. But for America to be better, the Republican Party has to be better. We have to be worthy again of the working men and women of our great nation. The media like to act as though there is this big civil war brewing in the Republican Party. Is it going to be the establishment, or is it going to be the Trump populists? Well, you know what? The Civil War is over. We've won. This is Donald Trump's Republican Party, and I am a Donald Trump Republican. Remember, as you see the lies and the leaks and the smears, that those in permanent Washington, those that they cannot compromise, they deplatform and defame and destroy and ultimately kill. But you cannot kill an idea. And you cannot kill a movement as strong as America First. I'm all for unity. I want us to come together and whoop the Democrats in 2022. But I want to unify not on the side of the losing establishment. I want to unify on the side of the winners. And this is a movement for winning. Winning so much that you get tired of it. After all, isn't that what you were promised? This great land, America, it's not just an idea or a constitution. America is our home. And so let's go protect our home. Let's protect our border. Let's protect our elections. Let's protect these great patriots in Arizona who want an audit and who want a real result. And we will carry this message all over this country to the great patriots who demand the best nation, the most inspirational movement, and champions for the great people we serve. God bless you. God bless the great state of Arizona. God bless our country. Let's go get 'em.
All right, and what was a marathon speech there by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene and there Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida. You can see the entire ballroom. That's in Mesa, Arizona. We're told that there's about 350 people in that ballroom watching this rally there, the America First rally. This is a series of stops that the members of Congress, those two, are making across the country, trying to move the message forward of President Trump's former winning coalition back in 2016. And so there you saw him really tout former President Trump's accomplishments and really hammer the Biden administration on a number of different things. Obviously, this is all taking place with the backdrop of that election audit going on in Maricopa County, Arizona, that was authorized by state Senate Republicans there. And so that audit is still underway. They have a lot of counting left to do, 2.1 million ballots. But Arizona went blue for the first time since the 90s this past election cycle, going to President Joe Biden by about a margin of 10,000 votes. And so There you can see crowd there gathered in this hotel ballroom. Let's just wait and see. They might just be taking pictures. Something we were looking out for is whether or not Congressman Gates was going to mention the current probe, the current investigation into his activities, possible sexual improprieties with a minor. We were learning today that federal prosecutors are now cooperating with an ex-girlfriend of his in the investigation in the hopes that she can provide any information. We know one of his confidants, Joel Greenberg, just last week pleaded guilty to 6 counts. And let's listen in right now to what the congressman is saying.
And then align people to those tasks so that we can go beat the Democrats rather than just giving them a little bit more ground each and every time. Paul, you've been here the longest. Are you expecting that moment anytime soon?
It doesn't come from us, it ain't coming.
Well, Marjorie, just maybe, you know, you are the newest to this crazy experience we know as Congress. And share with us your critique of just the organization of the place.
Well, let me just say, there's a lot of people in Congress that need to be fired. Yeah, I was so confused. I'm used to working in a normal business where we actually accomplish things. And I couldn't figure out, well, when do we actually plan and get together and communicate, right? So I went into Matt and I was like, Matt, you gotta tell me, when do we actually start doing this? Matt goes, never.
She's like, I don't wait. And I said, tradition mostly. You know, Andy, you have never voted for an immigration bill on the floor of the House, by my count. And it's because it seems that the institution cannot draft an immigration bill that does not have some component of amnesty. It can be amnesty light, it can be amnesty heavy, it can be amnesty in drag, but it's always some version of that. And all I've seen berate and criticized by Republicans saying, you know, Andy, you're just not a team player. You just don't compromise. You have to understand that we just got to make things a little bit better, and a little bit of amnesty and a whole lot more security, that will probably help. And you have been consistent in taking the position that any amnesty will only ever hurt. And so I wanted you to explain that perspective.
Thanks, Matt. And the bottom line is this. All of us respond to incentives. Right now, you're thinking of dinner that you missed, and you're incentivized by where you're going to go. Guess what? The cartels use incentives as well. And they run ads. We pay for ads down there through the NGOs, and we tell them, basically, come on up. One day you're going to get amnesty. And they come up, folks come, they risk their lives in inhumane ways. 1/3 of women, 1/6 of men are abused on the way up for the promise of amnesty. It is obscene and inhumane.
Well, you know, Matt just brought up something, and I think this is a great point. I think a lot of the bills we vote on are basically dressed in drag. They are disguised and named a certain way so they sound good, like Equality Act. But then in reality, if you read the bills, they are not good bills at all. They do things like destroy gender. And this is not what I ever thought that I would be doing in Congress. And I have to tell you, I am really grateful for these gentlemen up here. I am very grateful for them. Yes, I am so fortunate, because if I were one of the only conservatives up there that dare to say that God created everything that we know and see and feel, if I was the only conservative there that said, no, God only created male and female, in his image he created us, then I would be all by myself. But I'm so lucky to be up here with these great great colleagues of mine that stand alongside me, and they fight. These guys have been here longer than I have, and they're fighting for these same reasons. So thank you to you guys.
Marjorie is being far too modest. This is a crowd that I don't think any Republican not named Donald Trump running for president in 2024 could get. We don't even live in this time zone, and you came out for us, and that means a great deal. But Paul, every time I come to Arizona, I see this patriotism, this energy, and yet you guys have got 2 Democrat senators. You handed off these electoral votes to Joe Biden. You've got a governor who some days, I don't know what party your governor's in. So, what's it going to take to make Arizona a red state again?
It's embracing America first. That's what's going to make it red.
Well, I think we should tell everybody a few little stories, right? So there's some interesting things that go on when we all meet and go to Congress. It's like going to high school. So, you know, on the left side of the room, that's where the Democrats hang out, and then obviously on the right side of the room, that's where the Republicans hang out. But here's something I didn't know about Congress. I did not know that a lot of bills get passed by a voice vote. Did you know that? I didn't know that. And I thought, you know, there's 435 members of Congress. I thought we all actually vote on each bill, but it doesn't happen that way. So when the Democrats decided that they were so offended by me that they decided to kick me off of my committees, with 11 Republicans, by the way. I never forget that. And I had some really, really good friends here that told me about some good things I could do with my new spare time. So we started this effort to go down on the House floor and demand a recorded vote for every single bill that hits the floor. And we did that because Congress needs to be held accountable. And every member needs to be on record for their vote. They need to be transparent.
Remember that after Marjorie was unchained from her committees to go on the floor and wreak havoc, there's actually a large group of Democrats that are begging to put Marjorie on every committee. All of them. Andy, you are the chairman of the Freedom Caucus. We're very proud of who you are. How do we get more backup? How do we get more fighters in Congress? How do we get more people who will actually stand up against the corruption that exists in both parties so that we can actually move our nation forward?
We need everywhere for people to hold their member accountable. When your member promises to vote a certain way, introduce legislation, by golly, if they don't do it, they need to hear from you. We work for you. A lot of members in Congress, Marjorie and Matt and Paul will back me up on this, they think that because they're in Congress they have power and authority. But the only authority we have is to act that you have delegated to us to act on your behalf. It's for the people. That's the root of the power. That's what makes America unique and strong.
Matt, I gotta tell you, wasn't that something special about Donald Trump? Plus, the series of promises kept. Did he promise and did he keep his promises? Absolutely. So I would also tell you, the 4 of us up here, hold our feet to the fire too.
I love it. That is exactly what we want you to do. But we want this for all people all over the country. We want you to be engaged. And so here's what we have to ask of you. Don't be too busy. Don't be too busy. Don't be too tired of everything, tired of the fight. You have to stay in it. You have to say, yes, you are here.
We're here for all day.
Yes, and we need you. Let me tell you something, we need you. You see, this is our generation's control of our land.
Andy and I are not in the same generation. Yeah, no, Matt is older than me, much older. Same generation, baby.
We need our internet back.
Yeah, well, you know, the hall monitors of the internet out in Silicon Valley, they hate seeing this. You see, they want everybody just locked onto their screen, not together, not sharing ideas, not mobilizing toward real activity to drive change. Now, I don't want Washington, D.C. running my life, but I sure as hell don't want Silicon Valley running my life. And I just think that maybe American technology companies should be made in America as well.
Hey, how many of you have been put in Facebook jail or kicked off altogether, or Twitter? Do you think this happens when Joe Biden has his rallies that nobody goes to? Does anybody raise their hand for that question? No, because no one's there.
Nobody's there. You know the last time I was thrown off is because I had to go to that speech that President Biden gave on the floor, right? And I happened to say, President Biden is the worst president in the United States history. They threw me off. They threw me off. I don't know that I could have gone there. I don't think I could have gone there. I would have said Mr. Biden is the worst administrator. That's as far as I can go.
Paul also couldn't go because they're trying to put him on a no-fly list.
Yeah, but you know there's some fun things. There's this new TV hit coming out. It's called Those Are Family 7111. 7 members of my family hate me, 1 likes me, 1's impartial, and then it's just me.
Have you all seen the television ads of Gosar's siblings campaigning against him? I mean, I'm watching the Democrats during this conflict with Israel and Palestine, and like they've totally become an anti-Israel party, and that's problematic with some of the other members that are Democrats. And I look over the Democratic Party and say, it's becoming more tense over there than a Gosar family reunion.
See, the good news is, though, is if you watch that, you can be like me. You can have a love affair with that Arizona Republican.
Well, I think, Paula, you got a big family right here.
I always say, listen, I take this professionally because I've been doing it all my life. And by the way, I'm still my mom's favorite.
Oh, you know, that'd be something fun to talk about. So, you know, we had a vote. We had a vote for our chair early on a few months ago. And I can tell you the people on this stage voted correctly.
I voted for one of these chairs before I voted for Liz Cheney.
And then we were just very grateful when the rest of the conference caught up with us and decided to vote correctly the second time to remove Liz Cheney as the chair.
I just don't know why they don't listen to Marjorie and Paul and Andy and me from the beginning. We said months ago, you know what, it's probably not going to work to have the spokesperson of our party say that it is traitorous to pursue election integrity when our voters and our people are demanding election integrity. Who would have thought? Oh no, the leadership said, well, no, we're diverse. We have to show our diversity by having this diverse. Well, there is no room for diverse opinion when it comes to protecting the ballot box and protecting our republic and our notion of representative democracy. And so we've still got a little swamp left to drain in Washington, D.C. But I think if you'll send us some backup, we'll stay up.
Okay, you guys, this is what we really want from you. We really want every single one of you to stay engaged in this fight. What you have to do is you've got to encourage your friends, your neighbors, and your family, unless they're like Paul Gosar's siblings. But they may need mental therapy. Remember, they may get that woke COVID religion.
It's fun though, because you get to hone up your targets and your speech and elbows.
I bet y'all had some good old sibling rivalries and fights growing up.
We do. We were called the Fighting Gosars.
We could do a whole show on Paul Gosar's family. Oh, I tell you what, listen, talk about shows. I wish I could be followed around by a camera all day long when I'm in Congress, because it's a trip. Yes, maybe we'll do a reality show. We can do a reality show.
I got plenty that you could borrow to follow me around, so you can have
That's
two
true.
of mine.
I try to stay away from those.
This means the world to us. You mean the world to us. We are not the most popular people in Washington. And so to come here and to share the love with you, it inspires us. We want to inspire you. So let's get up there and inspire a great nation. Thank you all so much.
It does look like the panel there is done live in Mesa tonight. A marathon event between two Arizona congressmen and their colleagues, the congressman from Florida, Matt Gaetz, and from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, in what was quite an entertaining, fiery display, going after the Biden administration on a number of things, reminiscing and touting the accomplishments of former President Trump. We aired that full live in its entirety for you here on News Now from Fox. Thank you for being with us on your Friday night. I'm Andrew Kraft. We have a little more left to get to before we start the weekend. Hope you're having a great start to your weekend. We're going to go to a quick 2-minute commercial break. We'll see you then. All right, everybody, welcome back here to News Now from Fox. That's just a live look at the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. It's a little after 11:30 there on the East Coast, a little after 8:30 here in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm Andrew Kraft. Thanks for being with us on your Friday night. We're going to continue with some of our coverage from earlier today. As you know, the start of hurricane season is just a couple of weeks away, and some of the southern coastal states are gearing up for what's supposed to be quite an active season. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis spoke on that topic earlier today in Florida. Let's listen in for a little bit.
All right. Well, it's great to be in Pensacola at Home Depot. We want to thank them for all they've done. They've actually helped us a lot over the past year, and we're here today to celebrate a bill signing. We've got a lot of great folks with us up here. We have our new director of the Division of Emergency Management, Kevin Guthrie, is here. Where's he at? Okay. We have our Chief Financial Officer, Jimmy Petronis, with us. We have the Speaker of the House, Chris Sprowls, with us. We have the President of the Florida Senate, Wilton Simpson, is with us today. We also have Senator Doug Broxson from right here in Escambia County. And we have Representatives Williamson, Andrade, Salzman, Pat Maney here with us today, local Northwest Florida state rep, so thank you for being here. We also have Carlos Fines, Regional Director of Operations, Southeast Region. Are you up here with us? Okay, yeah. We have Sean Brown, the District Manager for Home Depot. Where are you at? Okay. And then we have Mike Sullivan, the Store Manager for Home Depot. So thank you. So thanks again to Home Depot. Last year, about this time, when we were actually also doing an announcement for hurricane preparedness, Home Depot announced that they would do COVID testing in their parking lots. And so this is a time a lot of people obviously were looking to get tested then, and we made it convenient for a lot of folks. So they were doing hundreds of people a day at a lot of their stores, and they've always been willing to help us through the last year, and then obviously with storms. The bill we're going to sign today represents a lot of tax savings for Florida taxpayers. As many of you know, we typically do sales tax holidays for things like going back to school and for disaster preparedness, and I'm happy to report that we'll be doing those again this year. But we were also, and I think partially because look, if you look around the country, we're a free state. Many of these states are not free states, unfortunately. So the legislature believed, and they really deserve credit for this idea, that to celebrate both our economic and recreational freedom that we enjoy here in the Sunshine State, this tax package will include the first ever Freedom Week, which will be a 7-day sales tax holiday on outdoor recreational purchases, as well as tickets for events, museums, the arts, and more. And so we're proud of being a free state, we're proud of being open, and we want taxpayers to be able to benefit if they're participating in all these things. And you know, no state has had more events than we've had over the past year. We most recently in Jacksonville had the first full capacity indoor sporting event with UFC. Of course, we hosted the Super Bowl in Tampa. We're going to be in Bay County for a big there's going to be like 20, 30,000 people at that. So we're going to be doing that. So we're really proud of that, and we're proud that folks in Florida are able to enjoy that. And quite frankly, we have folks in other states that look to Florida as their refuge to be able to come down here, whether it's vacation, whether it's attending events, whether it's all these different things. I go out and I talk to folks. In fact, we were in Panama City Beach. all these people, hanging out. They're a lot of them other states, and they're really thanking us that they have Florida to be able to come to escape some of these repressive policies. And it's interesting, some of these lockdown governors lock down their people, and then they come to Florida themselves to be able to enjoy. I mean, so this Freedom Week is scheduled during the week of July 4th. It will exempt sales tax on the following eligible purchases. Admissions to events scheduled between July 1st and December 31st, 2021. So that includes live music events, sporting events, movies, ballets, plays, music theaters, fairs, festivals. My daughter loves fairs, and so we took her to the Strawberry Festival down in Plant City and the Clay County Fair in Northeast Florida. So she's always asking me, Daddy, I want to go back to the fair. So now we'll save on our tickets, I guess, if we do that. Use or access to private and membership clubs and providing physical fitness facilities. That's really important. These bureaucrats telling us we have to keep these gyms closed. That's that you should not be doing that. You want people to be able to be physically fit and be able to have access to this, and so we're proud that we've done that. It also, no tax on entry to state park, museum, including annual passes. So if you buy the annual pass, no tax, as well as season tickets for things like music events, plays, ballets. And then my favorite is no tax on retail sale of specified boating and water activity supplies, camping supplies, fishing supplies, general outdoor supplies, and sports equipment. And in sports, any individual or team sport. So if you need batting gloves, if you need golf balls, if you need any of that, week of July 4th, you're going to pay no tax up to a certain amount. So I think this was really smart. I think it was really good, and I'm happy that we're able to do this. Of course, the back-to-school sales tax holiday will run for 10 days, spanning July 31st until August 9th for certain clothing, school supplies, and the first $1,000 of personal computers and related accessories. The 10-day disaster preparedness tax holiday will run from May 28th through June 6th for specified disaster preparedness items within certain price ranges, including flashlights under $40, tarps under $100, batteries under $50, coolers under $60, and generators up to $1,000. And so that will provide folks with the ability to prepare themselves. And we'll hear from Kevin Guthrie. Hurricane season is basically upon us. I know they say June 1st, but in reality, I think they're going to start saying you need to start thinking about this at this point in May going forward. So we're going to do that, and we're anticipating it to be a relatively active season, and Floridians should just understand that this is something that we may have to deal with, and so it's best to be prepared. In addition to those tax holidays, the bill institutes Florida's first permanent sales tax exemption for independent living items for our seniors. So during the pandemic, we put our seniors first, and we're proud of the work we did to protect the most vulnerable. I talk to people in other states. They say, my parents were able to get vaccine in Florida, and it wasn't even available to a lot of the seniors in some of these other states for months going on. So we're proud of what we've done. We're also proud. If you look at mortality from COVID, there's 40 states that had higher senior per capita mortality than the state of Florida. So we were one of the 10 safest states for seniors throughout COVID, and we're very proud of that. The permanent sales tax exemption for items like bed transfer handles, bed rails, grab bars, and shower seats is a way to redouble our commitment to improving our seniors' quality of life, because decreasing the cost of living is an important way to improve the lives of those on fixed incomes. To support housing options for all Floridians, the tax package doubles the ad valorem tax exemption for certain affordable housing properties from 50% to 100%. The bill includes implementation language for a proposed constitutional amendment providing property tax relief for residential property improvements made for the purpose of flood mitigation. This general property tax relief is subject to approval by the voters on the 2022 general election ballot. To help support the well-being of our children in the state, the bill creates the Strong Families Tax Credit Program for businesses that make monetary donations to certain eligible charitable organizations that provide services focused on child welfare. The newly created internship tax credit provides tax relief for Florida businesses that employ and retain student interns, encouraging companies to hire young Floridians attending college in our state. The bill also provides a one-time increase in funding of $17.5 million for the Brownfields tax credit program to fund a backlog of approved credits. This program, administered through DEP, incentivizes businesses to clean up and redevelop hazardous sites to protect our environment and to protect our economy. So I'm proud of the work that the legislature has done on this. We're going to have some folks come up and say a few things, and then I will get to sign in the bill. So first, we're going to hear from First, we're going to hear from Speaker Sprowls and Senator Simpson. So, Chris.
Thank you, Governor. I mean, great to be here today in North Florida to celebrate what I believe is certainly the best tax package that we've had in the legislature since I've been happy to be a part of it. We owe a lot of that to our partners in the Senate, Senate President Simpson, who worked hard on this tax package. Here in the House, Chairman Bobby Payne, who helped shepherd this through. But the governor said something I think that's really important, and that here in Florida, our people believe in freedom. And luckily, we have a governor and we have a legislature and a cabinet who believe in freedom as well. This will be the first year ever in a tax package that we're going to celebrate that freedom with a dedicated Freedom Week on sales tax cuts, on everything ranging from sunscreen to sporting goods to camping to state park admission to concert and sports venues, because our message to our Floridians is very clear, and that is we want you to celebrate that freedom. We know that this year, more than most, families have been cooped up. They were sometimes, their businesses were hurt. Their ability to go out and socialize with their friends and be with their family outdoors and do the things that they wanted to do to celebrate everything that's great to be an American, everything that's great to be a Floridian. And this year we want to make it very clear that we want them to embrace that. We hope that people will go out, that they'll buy grills, that they'll go out camping, that they'll play sports, that they'll go to visit our state parks, and they'll go outside and enjoy great and safe concert venues. So we're excited about Freedom Week. We're also excited about a lot of other things in this tax package. Every year, when our kids go back to school, I've got two little ones who will be going back to school, in the fall as well. We celebrate the back-to-school sales tax holiday. This year, under this tax package, we've extended the days to 10 days to make sure that families have enough time to get out to the store and get their stuff that they need for going back to school. I know Kevin's going to talk about the hurricane preparedness holiday, and we certainly have done that every year, because every year as Floridians we're at risk of hurricanes. Nobody knows that more truthfully than the folks here, the members here from North Florida, who recently went through Hurricane Michael and have had to rebuild their community from the ground up. So this year is more importantly than ever, and I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say that the folks like Kevin and Jared Moskowitz and the folks over at our Emergency Operations Center over the last year who've been activated for longer than they've ever been activated in Florida's history are real heroes to Floridians. They've done a great job, and this year as we enter into hurricane season, we're excited to make sure that Floridas are prepared for hurricane season. The governor mentioned a couple other things that are in this tax package that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention. The Strong Families Tax Credit. It's been a priority of Senate President Simpson and the House to tackle child welfare issues. You've seen a revamp of our child welfare system to help foster kids who are transitioning. This tax credit will help those kids who are at risk to make sure that we're providing them the resources they need to have families who love them, and that making sure that they can take care of them, and that those charities provide them wraparound services. Also in this tax package, and I'll let the President talk a little bit about Moffitt Cancer Center, but I wanted to take a moment to say that over the last several years, Senate President Simpson has had a labor of love to help cancer patients across the state have access to a world-class research and treatment facility so that if, God forbid, they get sick, they get the best treatment there is to have in the United States of America. That has absolutely been your labor of love, President Simpson. I congratulate you today. We're excited about this tax package. We're excited about the freedom that it bears, and that making sure that we kept the taxpayers in mind and the taxpayers first. Luckily, we have a governor who continues to champion the taxpayer, continues to champion the freedoms that we all share. And for that, Governor DeSantis, the Florida House is very grateful. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Governor, for being here today, and I know how important the tax package is. I've served now 9 years in the Florida Senate, And I agree with Speaker Sprouse. We did more this year in way of tax cuts and relief than we've done in many years. What makes this so good is that if you look over the last decade, the state of Florida, in addition to cutting over $10 billion of taxes, we've cut over $10 billion of debt. So you should be very proud of your state. At the same time of cutting record taxes, we were able to continue to pay down debt, and Florida's at one of the record low debt states in the union. And we have a AAA bond rating by all three credit rating agencies. So it's been something I've been very proud to serve with the Speaker, and Senator Broxton's here today, a local senator, and Senator Ana Maria Rodriguez was a senator who shepherded this tax package through the Senate. So we're very proud of all those statistics. One of the things I'll re-mention was Moffitt Cancer Center. It's something that the state of Florida now, in the next 5 to 10 years, will have the leading, what I believe will be, cancer research and institute in the United States, probably in the world, and it'll rival any institution anywhere in the country, and it's something we worked very hard on for many years. I'm glad to see that happen, and I really appreciate the Speaker's work on the tax package, the Governor's, and I appreciate being here today, Governor. Thank you.
Jimmy Petronas.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Don't we have a great governor? Give him a round of applause. You know, I get to go different places around the state, and I get stopped all the time. And the first thing people say to me is, "Tell the governor he's doing a great job." You hear that? Who is proud of this guy? Who hears this? I don't know about y'all, so I'm here because hurricane preparedness. And Kevin probably agrees. We both lose here this time of year because we get concerned because of folks being prepared at times of hurricane. You know, we saw what Michael and Sally did in Northwest Florida. We're concerned. These men and women up here know that you feel the pain when it comes time to recovery. And the store here, I know you go through strains because your men and women want to take care of your families, and you want to put up and board up your own houses, but you're here making sure that people have access to the stuff that they need to save their houses. I want to give y'all a round of applause. My college roommate used to be a Home Depot manager over in Merritt Island, and some of the hardest days were the times hurricanes were bearing down on the state, and you're sitting there doing everything you can to help people save their homes. So this is exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to incentivize that. We're trying to make sure that the sales tax benefit gives you motivation, so you go out and get those resources now. You used to go get the radios, the batteries, the generators, the supplies now, as opposed to waiting when the emergency comes. Everybody remember the challenge we had finding toilet paper just about a year ago? So we're trying to make sure we don't duplicate that all over again. And the men and women of the Florida legislature, they go to Tallahassee, they take time away from their family, from their businesses in order to make the policies that make sense for the citizens of this state. So it's great to have partners like the Retail Federation, Home Depot, and all these stakeholders that come together to help us make these good ideas. But it doesn't happen unless you have a Senate president, you've got a speaker, and you got a governor who says they want this for the citizens of the state. So again, incredibly humbled to be here with y'all here today. Thank y'all so much for your sacrifices in making sure that the citizens of the state of Florida have the absolute best place to live. So proud of this state. Thanks, Governor.
All right.
Good morning. First, I want to say thank you to the Governor for your leadership, as well as CFO Petronas, Speaker, Mr. President. Thank you for your leadership and all that you do for the citizens of this state. I'm excited to be here today with the Governor and everyone on the stage. There's no doubt that House Bill 7061 will help Floridians save money. I want to thank everyone who made this bill possible. This broad-based tax relief package will assist Floridians in preparing for the upcoming hurricane season, which begins in less than 2 weeks. As the Governor mentioned, we already have one storm that's out near Bermuda right now that should be have a number or a name in the next few days. Hurricane season is starting earlier each and every year, so it looks like next year the National Weather Service may move that date up for hurricane season to May the 15th. So we want to be ready for that. You can be ready for that as well. At the Florida Division of Emergency Management, we expect to have an active hurricane season, and we are preparing now by stocking up on supplies that we'll need during a storm. I'm encouraging all Floridians to do the exact same thing. To prepare for hurricane season, the division recommends having a disaster plan in place and a stocked disaster supply kit with at least 5 to 7 days worth of supplies. As the governor mentioned, the disaster preparedness sales tax holiday begins May the 28th and runs through June the 6th. During this time, disaster preparedness supplies are tax-free. This is the best time to get the items that you need for your family in the event of a storm. The earlier you prepare, the better off you will be come June 1st. Having a stock disaster supply kit is vital to an individual's hurricane preparedness. Your supply kit should contain everything you and your family will need during a storm, like water, medication, non-perishable food items, batteries, flashlights. The division has compiled a full checklist to use while stocking up on these kits or these supplies for your kit. That checklist is available at floridadisaster.org/kit. When a storm is approaching your area, that is not the time to build your kit. The time is now, starting next week, during this sales tax holiday, to stock up on your critical supplies. As I mentioned earlier, the division is preparing for this upcoming hurricane season. In the last few weeks, we've met with national, state, and local county emergency managers, and we have participated in hurricane exercises to improve our response. We have stocked up our disaster supplies. Right now, we currently have more than 2 million gallons of water, more than 100 meals ready to eat to be used to assist Floridians during a hurricane. We have secured special needs beds, cots, and other resources for local governments and Floridians in case we have to respond to a storm this season. We're encouraging Floridians to take other steps for individual disaster preparedness, including performing an annual insurance check of your home, your renter's insurance, your business insurance, your flood insurance. That is your first line of defense. Most people that depend on FEMA, the maximum grant that you can get from FEMA is $35,000 if you qualify for every single thing that they have. The average payout to a Floridian in a time of disaster is $4,000. Your first line of defense is your insurance policy. Second, know if you live in an evacuation zone or not. Know if you live in a low-lying prone area. We call this know your home, know your zone. Listen to your local emergency managers and heed the warnings that they give you in time of emergency. The division stands ready to support Florida's communities throughout this upcoming hurricane season. We remain committed in ensuring that Florida is prepared to respond to and recover from and mitigate against any storm that we have this season. So as we continue to take the necessary preparation steps, I want to once again encourage all Floridians to go ahead and start preparing their disaster preparedness kit. Again, the division's checklist is available at floridadisaster.org/kit. Again, Governor, Speaker, Mr. President, I just want to say, Jimmy, I'm sorry. Thank you for everything that you have done for us, for the citizens of the state, and thank you for your leadership. Appreciate it.
We have Carlos Fines, Regional Director of Operations, Home Depot.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, well, there you were listening to Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida speaking at that Home Depot with some of his officials there from the state, including emergency management and disaster officials gearing up for what is going to be quite an active hurricane season. The next season begins June 1st. We'll have extensive coverage of that, depending on how many storms form and how powerful and destructive they are. But there you were hearing from Florida Governor DeSantis, and he's offering Floridians tax breaks when they buy a number of items to prepare for these types of storms, and he's eliminating sales taxes on a lot of those products and goods. And so hope you enjoyed that event right there. Anyway, we are going to take a moment to go out to just a quick commercial break. When we come back, though, we're going to be highlighting the top headlines and stories of the day on this Friday. Hope you're getting a great start to your weekend. We'll see you in 2 minutes here on News Now from Fox. And welcome back here to News Now from Fox. We have a lot of great live looks from around the country and around the world, some skylines of major cities that we just want to take the chance to show you right now. It's a little after 9 p.m. here on the West Coast, a little after midnight there on the East Coast. Here's a look, though, right outside LAX Airport in Los Angeles. You can see a lot of traffic there still. We have also a live look down in the Peach State in Atlanta, Georgia, the Atlanta skyline looking beautiful. Also a lot of traffic, always a lot of traffic, though, in the Atlanta metropolitan area. We also have a great live look as well in St. Louis, Missouri. That's where the baseball team there plays. The stadium all lit up at the moment. Also, we have a early morning view of the London skyline as well. It's a pretty foggy Saturday morning there in Old London town, and so you can kind of make out all the skyscrapers there, the Shard and the London Eye as well to the left there. So, and of course we have the executive residence, the White House, some lights still on there at the home of President Biden, a little after midnight on this Friday night. Well, anyway, like I said, though, we do want to get to some of the major headlines of the day. Just in case you might have missed them, we're going to start with President Biden holding a joint press conference today with the president of South Korea about some of the biggest issues impacting the world, including North Korea and Israel. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively has details from Washington.
President Biden turned his focus from his domestic agenda to an international one Friday night. Addressing North Korea, COVID vaccine supplies, and pushing back on suggestions his party isn't committed to the defense of Israel.
There is no shift in my commitment, the commitment to the security of Israel, period. No shift, not at all.
Israel began a tentative ceasefire with Hamas Thursday night after a week and a half of fighting that has left more than 200 dead, the vast majority Palestinians living in Gaza. Some progressives on Capitol Hill are now questioning a weapons sale to the Israeli military, a move getting blasted by Republicans.
Both Bernie Sanders and AOC in the Senate and House introduced resolution to block arms sales to Israel to prevent Israel from defending itself.
In his news conference alongside South Korea's president, Mr. Biden also spoke about joint efforts to block North Korea from obtaining nuclear weapons, emphasizing how his plan would differ from the Trump administration.
I would not give him all that he's looking for, is international recognition.
But Mr. Biden has acknowledged ignoring North Korea isn't an option.
What happens when and if Kim Jong-un decides he's not getting enough attention on the world stage and he does decide to launch an ICBM or does decide to test a weapon? We need to know then what the Biden team's plan will be.
President Biden also agreed to a COVID vaccine partnership with South Korea and pledged to scale up the global vaccine supply. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Caroline, thanks for that update there. A lot of news out of Washington and that meeting with President Moon Jae-in of South Korea, one of our staunchest allies there in Southeast Asia. Anyway, sticking in Washington, D.C. at the moment, headed home this weekend, the more than 2,000 National Guard troops called in to secure the nation's capital after the January 6th attack. But after nearly 4 months on the job, some question about if the Capitol has enough security to keep lawmakers safe. Fox News national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin has more on their mission and the latest security measures at the U.S. Capitol.
The remaining 2,200 National Guard troops here in Washington are finally going home this weekend after more than 4 months on the job at a cost of over $500 million. At its peak, there were over 25,000 National Guard troops here in Washington following the January 6th riot at the Capitol. The troops were extended back in March. Many lawmakers are glad the mission is ending.
I think it was phased out in the right way because I thought that was problematic. I thought they were reduced too soon. So I can accept them leaving on May the 23rd.
The House narrowly approved a $1.9 billion supplemental bill to improve security at the Capitol. It passed by one vote. It includes $17 million for new surveillance systems and over $4 million for Capitol Police wellness and trauma support after the January 6 riots.
This bill is narrowly tailored to respond to January 6 and to protect the Capitol going forward.
The bill would harden the Capitol complex by reinforcing doors and windows, adding security cameras and removable fencing that could quickly be erected during a protest while leaving the Capitol open to visitors. It provides enhanced travel security for members. No Republicans voted for the bill.
Repairs have to be done. Support for the Capitol Police must be provided. But we do not need to make premature decisions before the ongoing security assessments are complete.
3 Democrats crossed the aisle to join Republicans in the vote, including Ilhan Omar. 3 other progressive Democrats, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Michigan's Rashida Tlaib, voted present. At Pete's Diner near the Capitol, which has been providing free meals to the National Guard since January, a former Navy vet, 90-year-old Captain Philip Bush, said he was glad they were going home. He personally donated to cover hundreds of meals for the visiting Guard.
They didn't ask to be sent here, but anything to make them feel a little homey. And I think it helped.
The National Guard mission to the Capitol ends at midnight Sunday.
The remaining Guard will fly back from Andrews Air Force Base early next week. As of now, none of the Guard are left stationed around the Capitol. All that remains is the fencing. At the Pentagon, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
Jennifer, thanks for that update there. Let's go into some more coronavirus news at the moment. As we reach the tail end of the COVID-19 outbreak, the CDC has released a new report on schools recommending teachers and staff continue to wear masks in the classroom. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seri has more from Atlanta.
The numbers are all heading in the right direction. COVID-19 cases down 19% in the last week, with hospitalizations falling 15% as more Americans get vaccinated. A big focus now, expanding access to young people and protecting them in school until they can get their shots. The CDC releasing a new study on Friday recommending masks still be worn by teachers and staff, pointing to new data showing the masks lowered infection rates by 39%.
We have used this transmission risk for many of our CDC guidance materials, for example, our school guidance.
But most states are well on their way to reopening schools without requiring masks. And some governors have signed new orders imposing fines on any official who makes face coverings mandatory, including in the classroom.
It is time to put healthcare decisions back in the hands of parents.
More than 125 million Americans have been fully vaccinated, but rates are slowing down. The daily average dropping from a peak of more than 3 million to just 1.8 million this week. A number of states now offering special lotteries as an incentive for folks to get their shots, and they say it's working.
The vast number of people who are not yet vaccinated are actually not opposed to getting vaccinated. And so things that draw attention to it, like the lotteries in those states you mentioned, are not surprisingly very effective.
And as demand falls here in the U.S., we're shipping more doses overseas, Pfizer pledging 2 billion shots for low-income countries over the next 18 months. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Jonathan, thanks for that update there. Let's go out now. Kyle Rittenhouse has made his first in-person court appearance today. There you can see he is in court with his mask on. Rittenhouse is accused of killing 2 people during anti-police protests back in Kenosha, Wisconsin last summer. The jury trial is anticipated to begin November 1st of this year. Rittenhouse, who was 17 at the time of the shooting, faces multiple charges, including homicide and reckless endangerment. Prosecutors say he left his Illinois home armed with an assault-style rifle, headed to the protests that erupted after the police-involved shooting of Jacob Blake. His attorneys claim he went to Kenosha to protect businesses during the violent protesting. So there you can see appearing in court. Also, some news today, he has hired a new defense attorney as well. And so we aired this live a little bit earlier this morning, and we'll bring you any more updates as it happens in the days and the weeks ahead. We do want to go out now and give you an update on the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Well, tonight it is holding. The agreement ended an 11-day outbreak of hostilities. Fox News correspondent Trey Yingst is live tonight in Gaza.
A group of foreign journalists entered the Gaza Strip today for the first time since conflict erupted earlier this month. We're getting a look at the Palestinian side amid this shaky ceasefire. It's been almost 24 hours since a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas went into effect. With no rockets, airstrikes, or casualties, the realities of war are starting to set in.
It happened in a few moments. I was with the person 10 minutes before he was killed. What is in my mind? I am feeling pain inside my heart.
Shadi Abdallah lives next door to a building that was destroyed by an Israeli airstrike in Gaza City. 42 people died here. He said he doesn't understand why the structure was targeted. He says Palestinians living there were doctors and engineers. The Israeli military said they took extra precautions to avoid civilian deaths during this round, though still many died in fighting along the Strip. Israeli strikes and artillery shellings were largely in response to thousands of Hamas and Islamic Jihad rockets targeting their cities. With weapons laid to the side, the battle between Israelis and Palestinians is now one of information. Today, both sides are saying their operations were successful. Despite suffering heavy losses, Hamas and Islamic Jihad are claiming victory. They sent millions of Israelis to bomb shelters, firing rockets into the southern and central part of the country, even shutting down Israel's largest airport. The factions here say this was part of a coordinated campaign against who they say is an occupying power.
If Israel violates the ceasefire, what are you going to do? The answer will come from the resistance room.
Israel is also promising a strong response if Gazans violate the ceasefire. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Friday that any fresh rocket fire will be met with a new level of force.
At this stage, I can say that we did daring and innovative things, and this without being dragged into unnecessary adventures.
In the past decade, several ceasefires have been brokered and broken. Military confrontation will not solve this ongoing conflict, but a political solution seems extremely far away for the people involved. In Gaza City, Trey Yangst, Fox News.
Trey, thank you for that really interesting report there, getting a closer look at what actually is happening in Gaza itself. And so thanks for opening our eyes to that as well. Well, we're going to go out now because 2 prison guards designated to protect Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell the night he committed suicide have struck a deal with prosecutors that will keep them out of jail. There they are right there, some still photos of them. According to court documents, Tova Noel and Michael Thomas will be sentenced to 100 hours of community service. The prosecution agreement also says they will admit that they falsified records in the disgraced financier's 2019 death. You can see we have some file video of Jeffrey Epstein. So they did this. Prosecutors say they browsed the internet. They slept at their desks just 15 feet from Epstein's cell. Instead of making their scheduled rounds, they will undergo supervised release and cooperate with the Justice Department's Inspector General in addition to community service. Epstein was arrested on July the 6th, 2019 on federal sex trafficking charges. He was found unresponsive, declared dead on August the 10th. And so that is the latest in the Epstein saga. Those 2 guards getting a very, very light punishment there today, 100 hours of community service, avoiding jail time, and what is not a very, very good mark on the Federal Bureau of Prisons track record there. And they were supposed to be monitoring Jeffrey Epstein periodically all throughout the night. Anyway, we're going to go back to politics now, and Fox 11 in Los Angeles on the issue is that public affairs program that speaks to newsmakers all across the country. Well, Fox 11's Alex Michelson spoke with the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg himself. Let's listen in to that conversation.
Secretary Pete Buttigieg joins us for the first time as a member of the administration. Mr. Secretary, welcome back to The Issue Is.
Thanks. It's nice to be with you again.
All right. Let's start by talking about the $2.3 trillion infrastructure package that you are helping to negotiate. It's part of a proposed $6 trillion in spending this year by the Biden administration, if you include COVID relief and social programs. So what specifically, Mr. Secretary, does this plan mean for California? What does California looking at if this thing passes?
Well, think about all of the forms of transportation that mean so much to California. I mean, literally everything we're considering in this plan, from roads and bridges to ports and airports to rail and transit, are all a big part of how Californians get around. And that's just the transportation piece. This is a vision for everything from water infrastructure to internet infrastructure to care infrastructure. So it's safe to say that if you ever have the experience of going from point A to point B, from work to home, from home to school, you will benefit from the investments in the president's vision. Look, the reality is we have been coasting for a very long time as a country off of investments in infrastructure decisions that were made years ago, even decades ago. It's catching up to us. And this is the chance to make a generational investment in the infrastructure that's actually going to make us competitive for the future, creating millions of jobs while we're at it and helping to confront the climate crisis before it's too late.
So where are we at in the negotiations? You're a big part of them.
So Senate Republicans put forward one alternative. We believe, of course, in the president's vision, but we're open to different ideas. And there are also a lot of negotiations happening in the committees, both in the House and in the Senate between the members themselves. The next few days, and I think the next weeks, will have a lot of these conversations and discussions. That's a healthy thing. But the president has also made very clear that doing nothing is not an option. And we can't just keep keep doing this indefinitely. We got to deliver results because Americans are seeing every day the consequences of us falling short on transportation infrastructure. We've fallen out of the top 10 as a country. We're actually in 13th place. And so there's no time to lose. We've got to act. And that's the sense of urgency that's propelling the conversations I'm having literally every day, and others in the administration and the president too, constantly with members of both parties, with members of the House and the Senate, with mayors, governors, about how to get this done.
You know, there are some on the Republican Party who are suggesting that maybe the best thing to do would be to split this package into two. Some of the more traditional infrastructure plans, maybe pass $1 trillion plan on that and do some of the more social programs like child care, other aspects later on. Do you support that idea? Does that make sense to you? Try to get a big bipartisan win?
We believe all of these things fit together, but we are open to different ideas about how to get it done. The point is we in fact have to get these things done. It is so important at a time when you see, for example, a bridge at the point of failure or at risk of failure in Memphis that is causing a huge disruption in that region. The Colonial Pipeline reminding us of the general importance of resilient infrastructure. Texas, where because of grid issues, we had American citizens having to melt snowballs in their bathtubs to be able to flush their toilets. There's an enormous sense of urgency here, and we got to do these things quickly. Now, in terms of the legislative mechanics, the politics of how to do it, there's a lot of ways to get there, but this is a time to think big, and this is a time to be bold.
If the Republicans don't come along, do you have enough Democratic votes right now to get this done?
I think that there are not just a lot of Democrats, but Americans on both sides of the aisle who want to see this happen. What I'm finding, though, is that just because something is hugely popular in both parties around the country doesn't mean that's automatically reflected in Washington. That's why we're focusing so much on talking both with Democratic colleagues and with Republicans. We definitely see enormous support to make something happen. Exactly what shape it'll take, obviously, that's exactly what these discussions are about in the next few days.
Well, here's something that's unpopular with both parties: high gas prices. You are the Secretary of Transportation. This is the main way that people in Southern California and Northern California get around. I'm curious, what can be done about those high gas prices right now?
Well, one of the things that we need to do is make sure that Americans have options. Look, most people don't drive electric cars, so gas prices have a huge impact on most Americans. Now, that's driven by all kinds of factors, from global demand for oil to weather events. But what we know is when gas prices increase, everybody feels that economic pain. And when there were the temporary supply disruptions due to the Colonial Pipeline issue, we acted in every way that we could to help move gas over water, over land. We made it more flexible to be able to move it in trucks. But we also have to have broader strategies as a country to have diverse sources of ways to get around and complete this transition that we're in the middle of right now toward renewable energy. Look, we know that the future is not going to look like the past. The question is whether we can get there in a way that actually creates jobs, which the American Jobs Plan does, through everything from electrifying vehicles to making our grid and our cities more resilient.
So just real bottom line, if that plan passes, paint a picture. What does the future look like in California and in this country?
Well, Californians can expect better roads and bridges, better airports, no longer having to feel like our country's airports are second rate compared to what other countries have. Rail and transit options where we've been expected to settle for less, getting people to where they need to be. You can expect a lot more jobs across the state of California and across the country. And this is one very important thing I want to emphasize. According to independent economists' study of the American Jobs Plan, of the millions of jobs we're going to support and create here, the majority of them are available to people whether you have a college degree or not. So this is largely a blue-collar vision for the future. These are the kinds of benefits that we stand to gain, and maybe the biggest one of all is we'll be able to look back on the early 2020s and say this is when America finally got ahead of the climate crisis and won the future in an equitable way. That's the opportunity in front of us. I truly believe it's a once-in-a-lifetime moment, on par with when they built the Transcontinental Railroad that opened California in so many ways to the rest of the country, or the interstate highway system at a time when it would have taken 2 weeks to get from California to Washington, D.C. by car. We changed that. Now's another moment where we've got to envision what the future of infrastructure looks like and recognize it won't be the same as the past.
Let's talk for a moment about you, because we've been talking with you since you were a relatively unknown mayor from South Bend, Indiana. Let's talk about your first time in the Oval Office. The real first time you were wheeled in virtually because of COVID restrictions at the time, which is kind of weird. It's quite the image there. But when you went in for real, for the first time, sat next to the president, what went through your mind?
Well, it's a heady thing. I hadn't been in the Oval Office before, and you know, it's a moving experience as an American to be in that space where the president is trusted by the American people with making so many life and death decisions. But to be honest, mostly I was just thinking about the job that I was there to do. I'm part of this incredible team that the president has put together with the vice president and this cabinet, and he's got a pretty tall order for us in terms of the infrastructure work that we're doing and a lot of other things that he has assigned to us. So in many ways, it was a heads down moment, trying to make sure that that the meeting went well, that we were getting the right kind of information. And every time I go there, there's that mix of the awe of the importance of what goes on in the White House, and the simple fact that we're there with a job to do, and the president expects all of us to deliver for the American people, because we know that's what the American people will hold all of us accountable for in the future.
Right. You campaigned against Joe Biden. At the time, you told me that we need a new generation of leadership. You're now working with him, the oldest president in American history. How is he different than maybe you thought during the campaign? And is there value in having an older president?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, if you look at the discipline, the focus, and the effectiveness of this administration, it's certainly humbling to see just how much that experience in terms of the relationships and the understanding of what's happened before has, I think, served this president and leadership team well. But the other thing I'll say is that he has been very intentional and very, I think, generous about cultivating a new generation of leaders in this country. And he's somebody who really envisions this as a transformational moment. He is somebody who I think maybe more than was expected of him as a candidate, is very focused on the future, thinking big, delivering in a bold way. I mean, we're already thinking ahead to the next hill, which is the jobs plan, but the rescue plan alone will make such a positive difference in American life. And so, you know, I feel that I'm part of this incredible team, and that we have, look, I haven't had a boss in a very long time, right? I was a mayor for 2 terms and then a candidate, but I love being part of this team that he's put together.
What's the biggest difference between South Bend and Washington?
Well, I can tell you that the real estate prices are pretty different. We moved from a pretty sizable house to a 1-bedroom apartment here in D.C., and I think we're paying 3 or 4 times as much. But I won't complain to Californians about real estate.
Yeah.
You know, it's more of a community than people realize. People think of the big buildings and government and the things that go on there, but just the neighborhoods, as I've had a chance to explore a little bit, and when we're walking the dogs, really reflect the diversity of people who are here in Washington, whether they came here to serve in government or whether they've been here for generations, and enjoying get to know it, even though it probably will never quite feel like home the way the Midwest is.
All right, really interesting conversation there with the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, and Fox 11 in Los Angeles. Hope you enjoyed that. We are going to move on to some more lighthearted stories at the moment. And as you know, Brood X, Brood 10 is upon us, all those cicadas. But if you visit the nation's capital right now, it's not the historic sites that have some folks buzzing. That's because it's peak season, like I said, for the cicadas. And unlike Washington's annual cherry blossom trees, these cicadas have not been seen for 17 years. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera is near there in Riverdale, Maryland, with more on how much longer until they bug off.
All seems quiet in this neighborhood in Maryland, but something has got people buzzing.
They're just crawling out, emerging.
Brood 10 cicadas are coming out after 17 years underground.
They were like going crazy because they were like all of the trees had a bunch of cicadas.
Angela Sines is a master's student in entomology at the University of Maryland. She's been looking forward to their arrival.
It's so exciting, especially because it doesn't really happen anywhere else.
Billions, if not trillions, of cicadas will swarm 15 states over the next roughly month and a half.
Here are the key numbers: 64 degrees, 8 inches below the ground. That soil temperature signals that the temperature above ground is warm enough for the cicadas to emerge.
These are teenagers. They are 17 years old. They've been living a COVID-like existence underground, social distancing in the dark. And when they come up, they're going to party.
The cicadas don't sting and they don't bite. In fact, they make a good meal for many animals, including squirrels, birds.
We have cicada dumplings.
Even humans.
Periodical cicadas have been sipping plant sap for 17 years, so they're tasty.
Still not a fan?
You can always go to a place that don't have cicadas.
They'll be gone by early July and won't be back for another 17 years. In Maryland, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
All right, the cicadas are upon us. That is indeed no doubt about that. Fox 5 in D.C. also looked at how you can kind of show and tell with your kids about the cicadas in this pretty rare moment. Let's listen in.
Anyone tell me what a cicada is?
Cicadas are a bug, and to me, they're pretty cool.
They're a type of creature that doesn't come out of the ground until 17 years.
What do you think of them?
Scary.
What scares you about them?
The red eyes.
That is pretty scary. Can anyone tell me what a cicada sounds like? That's good.
Buzz, buzz.
You got a little more buzz on yours. A little more buzz.
Yeah, they like buzzing.
Did you know that you can eat cicadas?
Yes.
Would any of you eat a cicada?
No. If it was a dare.
What if it was a double dare?
Still do it?
Still do it. Nice. So you guys, you've hunted for some cicadas, right?
Yes, because I have a whole bag of them.
What do you guys think of London's cicadas here?
We actually helped him find them.
Yeah. Today, both of them kind of helped me find them.
At which point, there was just one thing left to do. We went for a hunt.
Okay, how about we go look over by this tree in that area? Does that work for everybody?
Guys, come here. There's a spider too. Guys, look. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's already 100.
Can I tell you something, everybody? I've determined after this talk, you all sound like cicada experts to me, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of am because I've learned a lot about them, and whenever I can, I try to go outside to see them.
Yeah, clearly they are doing one heck of a job schooling these kids here at Flower Hill, where, by the way, tonight with a big virtual event, they actually just wrapped up what they are calling the Great Flower Hill Cicada Census. No doubt, in my mind, my new friends, Isabel, Carolina, and London must have played a big part in this. Guys, back to you.
And a great piece there from Fox 5 in D.C. Just about all of the cicada news here on the Northeast. We don't really see them in Phoenix, though. I haven't yet. I was back east just last weekend. I saw a lot of them. One even landed on my hand while I was walking, so it was kind of a icky moment there. But we're going to end the night with Fox 11 in Los Angeles. Well, they spoke with celebrity chef Wolfgang Puck about how restaurants are making a comeback, especially his, post-pandemic, and what bar and restaurant patrons can do to give back to their local restaurants in and around their communities. So it should be a really interesting story here.
A family affair for world-famous chef Wolfgang Puck and his son, now working side by side in their new restaurant at the old location of the House of Blues on the Sunset Strip.
Oh, we're going to make our famous lobster here.
Wolfgang Puck is in the kitchen of his newest restaurant, Merwa, in West Hollywood.
Now pour a little wine in here. We glaze it with a little of our white wine.
Right beside him, his 26-year-old son.
This is our true family restaurant.
Byron Lazaroff Puck is the general manager here.
He looks like he's my supervisor here with the suit and everything, like it's impossible. Byron is really the first real family member who we are working together. So and for me, it's really exciting to see his passion.
Wolfgang's mom, a professional chef, taught him at a young age to love food. Young Byron likewise grew up in his dad's kitchen.
I mean, food is my love and my passion. I adore it day in and day out.
Byron started washing dishes for his dad at age 13 and would go on to apprentice with top chefs all around the world.
I kind of take pieces from every single one of these different chefs.
Cheers. See you.
Their joint project, Marah, finally opened after 9 years of planning. It's located at the brand new Pendry Hotel. It's a new addition to the iconic Sunset Strip, not far from where Wolfgang opened his first restaurant, Spago, 4 decades ago. Does this bring you back to the beginning?
This is totally for me, you know, Back to the Future, maybe. Bluefin tuna, the toro. But I have to taste a little bit. It is so good. You have to gain a little weight.
I know, seriously.
And you have to gain a little weight, too. They're the skinny ones.
The fare at Marah combines Wolfgang's classics,
almost too good to eat,
with an Asian twist.
It's Pan-Asian, it's Californian ingredients, it's French techniques. You get a little bit of everything under one roof, which is amazing.
Among the menu items, steak, burgers, and the well-known chinoise chicken salad. Plus, fried fish.
A little bit over it.
Which I had to try.
Hot.
The view? Almost as good as the food.
I joke with everybody. I said, you know, you see the big buildings, that's Manhattan. That's how good our view is from here.
Downstairs, Wolfgang makes pizzas in a more casual restaurant called Ospero, where we tried out his grandmother's ravioli and lots of pastries.
So does this bring you back to Austria a little bit?
Totally. This part, you know.
A favorite? Basque cheesecake.
Creamy and so delicious.
That is one of the best desserts I've ever had.
Puck says demand is high as we come out of the pandemic.
To me, it looks like it's going to be the new roaring 20s. You know, everybody wants to go out.
But he says hiring is tough with so many potential employees on extended unemployment.
A lot of people are staying away still, which is sad that we give people money not to work when we have so many opportunities. What's up?
Both father and son expect that to eventually sort itself out and couldn't be more excited for this chance to work together.
I think that in 5-6 years, maybe by the time he's 32, 33, he can take over and send me a check to south of France or to Austria or somewhere.
What do you think is the most important lesson or piece of advice that he's given you in terms of restaurants?
Honestly, is to love what you do. I come in with a smile on my face every single day because this is really all I want to do with my life. To get that opportunity to make someone happy with a plate of food every day is really all I could ask for.
Oh.
So great. Both restaurants are now open to the public. By the way, Wolfgang's life story is going to be profiled in a big documentary in Disney Plus this summer. And by the way, Christine, I am still working out to work off all of those calories from that day.
I got to ask you a favorite dish for when we go. Recommendation, please.
They really like the Peking duck, but that Basque cheesecake is like one of the best things I've ever had. Yeah,
yes.
It's amazing.
So jealous there of Alex. He got to talk to Wolfgang Puck. He has so many great restaurants, not only in L.A., but across the country. And so I hope you enjoyed that segment there. Well, that's going to do it for us here on News Now from Fox on this Friday night. It has been such a crazy busy week with so many top stories and big headlines. And we thank you for choosing News Now from Fox as your go-to source for all of those stories. We do want to just show you some of these last live looks from around the country. Beautiful night in New York City. It's almost 1 a.m. there, but you can see Radio City Music Hall in the distance. New York City fully reopened this week, I believe the 19th, and so summer is upon New Yorkers there. We also have this very foggy live look on Saturday morning there in London town. Over across the pond, you can see kind of the Shard and the London Eye and the River Thames there. And back here stateside, there's Atlanta. So a lot of great live looks at this point in time. But As you know, at this time of night, we go into our overnight playlist, and that's just a compilation of the best events and best stories that we've already shown you today. And we're going to show them to you on the overnight. And then, as you know, we do have live weekend coverage Saturdays and Sundays starting at 7 a.m. Eastern, ending at 7 p.m. Eastern, because, as you know, the cycle of news is so crazy it never stops, not even on the weekends, not even on holidays either. So just want to preview another thing that we are looking forward to next week. We are going to have extensive live special coverage on May the 25th. That's the 1-year anniversary of the death of George Floyd that sparked off worldwide, not only nationwide, social justice and racial justice protests. And so you're going to want to tune in for that. We're going to have a lot of special guests, special coverage from around the country, rallies, memorials, and the like. We also learned today that President Biden will be meeting with George Floyd's family next week on the anniversary of his death just a year ago at the hands of Minneapolis police. And so we're going to be previewing that once again going into next week. So for all of us here at News Now for Fox, a couple more things. Don't forget to give us a follow on Twitter. Our handle is @NewsNowFox. My handle is @AndrewCraft. Daytona's handle is @Daytona News Now, and we thank you for watching. Go to newsnowfox.com as well, because that lists all of our streaming platform partners, and we are growing exponentially, might I add. And so if you want to figure out where you can find us, or the people in your life are asking, how do you watch this? Where can I find that? Go to newsnowfox.com, and that's where you can get that info. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to hope you have a great weekend for all of us here. We'll see you same time, same place Monday, but have a good night.